Hi, Facebook friends. Helen Archontou here, CEO of the YWCA of Northern New Jersey, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. So happy to have this time with you on this Friday morning. Hope everyone is getting ready for the weekend and in a good mindset for some fun. And what's better to be thinking about for weekend fun than some great cultural activities and embracing the arts. I don't know. I can't think of anything better to do. So I'm so excited about today's conversation because today we will be learning a little bit about really one of the cultural hubs of our area, Jersey City. And so much is happening there thanks to the great leadership. And we're going to learn about it today. So I don't know if you know, but Jersey City is the second most populated city in New Jersey after Newark. And it is the county seat for the county of Hudson. And it's also Hudson County's largest city. So it is a big space with a lot of people in it and a lot of great stuff happening. And so we're so glad to have our guest today is Christine Goodman, who is going to tell us about some of the rockin' and rollin' that's happening over in Jersey City. Let me tell you a little bit about her. Christine is the Director of Cultural Affairs for the City of Jersey City in the Mayor's office. She oversees large-scale events, the city's cultural anchor institutions, New Jersey's first Arts and Culture Trust Fund, mayor initiatives, public art, and special events permitting, permitting, which is for over 300 cultural festivals, parades, and religious celebrations each year. That is a lot of activity coming through your office there, Christine. She is also the founder and executive director of Emeritus of Art House Productions. She is a trained actress, a proud member of the Actors Equity Association. She has toured the country, performed her poetry across the tri-state area. She has also taught acting classes for children and for adults. She studied at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts and is an honors graduate of New York University's Tisch School of the Arts with a BFA in drama. And with all of that, we are so grateful that she could be with us today. Welcome, Christine.
Thanks so much for having me, Helen. It's really great to be here.
So I have to ask you, before we jump into talking about Jersey City, obviously at the YWCA, we spend a lot of time talking to women in our community and, helping them think about their next chapters and career changes and supporting them through the life's twists and turns and evolutions. So, your background is so interesting because, you have such, going to Tisch, the Royal Academy, teaching acting, being part of all these, amazing programs, with your training. And now, you're so focused now, in this amazing effort, which we're going to talk about today in Jersey City. And clearly I can see the link, but it's a little bit of a next chapter, as we call it, Can you speak a little bit about making that shift for you personally? Because I know so many women are always thinking about, doing something different. And, what was that like for you? Because clearly you're flourishing in both places.
Sure. Coming out of acting training and into the world of film and theater, the first thing that I was confronted with in real life on the audition beat was that there weren't a lot of really compelling roles that I was auditioning for. And I felt that my voice was being lost in the mix as an artist. And I think if there's one through line that's kind of connected my entire professional journey, it's been about finding our creative voices. So I founded my own theater in direct response to 9/11, actually, Art House, which still exists today. And it was really created in Jersey City out of this need to have a space where we could express ourselves creatively, grow as artists, and develop new work. So running that organization was a tremendous journey, a wonderful challenge. I feel like I learned firsthand what goes into starting your own business and moving something from concept to reality and all of the hurdles along the way, which has now informed my work as the director of cultural affairs, because I spent 17 years running a nonprofit arts organization here in this city. So I know what the challenges are, and the work that I do now with the mayor, who really understands how important the arts are to a healthy, vibrant city. Um, has really been in the service of helping our artists and organizations survive and thrive here and to be heard. So, I think that the work we're doing is really important and necessary for the survival of the arts here in Jersey City. But it's also wonderful to see how far we've come.
Yes, and really, what a gift someone, like you with your background and training to just now building so much capacity for other artists, in the community, to be able to transition in that way. But thank you for sharing that. I know that wasn't really kind of on our agenda to talk about, but it's so important for us to share our stories as women of those transitions, because it just shows us how, even if you think your life is on one path, there's there's always another path, around the corner, and so much success with that. And so let's talk about Jersey City, because I think, anyone who has been from this area and has been watching, can just see that it is, it has exploded over the last few years. Everything from, the housing, the restaurants, and obviously this key piece. So we know that Jersey City is the first city in New Jersey to implement the Arts and Culture Trust Fund. And we're going to talk a little bit about it, but the city is now accepting applications to distribute a total of $850,000 in grants. That's amazing, including $100,000 in artists fellowships, which is, could not be more empowering, knowing that those funds are out there.
Yeah.
So can you talk to us a little bit about this amazing opportunity that is, kicking off here first?
Sure. So our mayor, Stephen Fulop, really recognized that we needed to use creative tools to get our artists and organizations to where they really needed to be, in line with a city of our size. So it's been an uphill battle. As I said, I have fought this battle for a long time, almost 2 decades. And I know that our artists and organizations are creative and resourceful, but we do, whether it's because of where we're situated in the state, being right next to New York City, a culture of giving and real access to grant funding has been scarce. And we have tried to think about how to solve these issues ourselves in Jersey City. And the mayor led the initiative on the statewide level to really work with our assembly and to move forward legislation that would allow for us to put an Arts and Culture Trust Fund tax on the ballot as a referendum in 2020. So the fact that our own residents voted overwhelmingly in favor of supporting arts and culture with tax dollars in the middle of a pandemic, I think speaks to our commitment here to having a city that is thriving for the arts and for arts and culture, and a place that we can all be proud of as a cultural destination. So this is the first rollout of this brand new grant fund, which we're starting with the first tranche of $850,000, but will progress to $1 million annually for arts and culture. And it is true that $100,000 of that is directed specifically towards unrestricted grant funds for individual artists. And that's through our partners, the Jersey City Arts Council. So this process has been incredible. It's been an open public process. Once the referendum was approved, we have held through my office, the Office of Cultural Affairs, a series of public meetings where artists and residents can engage with the visioning process for what this fund is, what we prioritize, who's eligible. And it's wonderful to see the fruit of all this hard work, not just on behalf of my office, but the entire Jersey City community to make this a reality. And we have our Jersey City Arts and Culture Trust Fund Committee that is working at the helm of this fund and is very committed to making sure this is a fair process and a process that meets the goal, which is increased access to the arts for all of our residents in Jersey City.
Well, that it's amazing to see the community really rally around this project. And again, an effort that's, starting, a new path, for us here in New Jersey for sure, and definitely in your area. So how, this massive amount of money, and then also these fellowships, obviously you just talked about that the fellowships are being administered through this, entity. So how will this money be dispersed? Who's applying for it? And then how do we expect that, in the community that we will, benefit from it? How do we see it in action?
Well, one thing I'm really proud of is that the committee leading this initiative has committed to coming out of the gate with lots of options for granting. So the grant programs, in addition to individual artist fellowships, are program grants. So for arts programs, we have arts education grants, and we have general operating support. So we're coming out of the gate with these 4 options that will address, youth, our community groups, neighborhood organizations, nonprofits, arts businesses, and individual artists. So again, the goal is to increase access to the arts across the entire city. So we've leveraged a lot of our key partnerships with like the Jersey City Public Library so that all of the computer terminals are open for extended time for anybody who would like to submit their grant applications. We're having online open office hours so people can come and spend time completing the application with us right there to ask questions along the way. We want to demystify the process. We want to make ourselves available. And we're really hoping to reach organizations and artists that might think that, oh, these grants are not for me, or I have this, I know what my neighborhood really needs for the arts, but I need additional support to complete this application to really get this process going. So that's why we've really rolled out 6 weeks of, keeping doors open and having as many sessions as possible to provide assistance along the way.
Well, that's wonderful, because we know that if you're, not used to the grant process, it can be overwhelming, for sure. But, providing so much hands-on assistance and accessibility to, places to be able to submit really helps, it become much more attainable to anyone who, reaches the guidelines, to be able to submit, which is wonderful. And, I just really have to commend your mayor and your administration and the leadership, yours and others, that really have, made this a priority in a community. We know that the arts is and has been, we've been watching a steady decline over the last 20 years of arts programs in schools and in communities. They've really been the first thing to go. And, we know very much, the statistics, the evidence shows that our youth, with their brains growing up with arts, as well as, with mathematics simultaneously, is what's going to give them the best chance at, at really, doing well as they get older. So it's such an opportunity you're really instilling in your community. So let's talk about the last 2 years. I mean, I actually happen to be married to a professional artist, a professional musician, I should say. He's an artist. He's a professional musician. So I know that, all artists, have been hit so hard these last 2 years. I mean, so much about art is about community and people coming together. And since that really had been shut down, it really did impact the ability for a lot of artists to be able to figure out, how to still, one, make a living, and two, get through this time to be able to continue with their crafts. Can you talk a little bit about, how the city has worked to help artists survive and thrive during this time?
Sure. So, I mean, as I'm sure you and everybody joining in saw during the pandemic, that in our darkest times, the arts are there for us. And there was such a beautiful um, connection around the arts when we were all quarantined at home. And I just have to say, no credit here. It was inspiring to see our Jersey City arts organizations pivot so quickly and learn new skills to create programming out of thin air. And I think that really speaks to how creative and what survivors our organizations and artists are. I mean, they really do fight against all odds to keep going, and it's been inspirational. Um, I spoke earlier about how Jersey City has really tried to address this lack of language around giving and a culture of giving here for the arts. So it was particularly inspiring to see the mayor rolled out a COVID-19 relief fund and immediately directed $250,000 towards individual artists and arts organizations for COVID relief. And there's always more we could do, but to see this kind of turnaround, when there had never been a grant program out of our city directed specifically towards artists in this way, that was wonderful to be a part of. And I know that the artists and organizations really did need that relief. We also, in the first few months of the pandemic, Cultural Affairs worked with organizations to develop a tracking system to think about the loss from programming, the loss from revenue, and to really understand that larger picture, which then did ultimately inform the COVID-19 relief fund. So that quick reaction and being able to build an ongoing survey that people in our arts community could contribute to helped get that conversation going to really understand what that loss looked like at the very start of the pandemic. In addition to this, we launched in April of 2020 weekly virtual meetings where we would have about 50 to 100 artists and organizations come online to talk about what they were going through, share resources, thinking about how to engage in programming in new ways, and to feel a little less alone. And that was a program that continued on an ongoing basis for over a year, and then segued very easily into our Arts and Culture Trust Fund visioning sessions. So our community got used to meeting regularly, to knowing that your director of cultural affairs was right there. We had our councilwoman for Ward B, Mira Prinzeri, who was on the calls every week, and we could talk and work through problems as a community. And that was wonderful to see. And I think, the strength of the Arts and Culture Trust Fund is a testament to that work as well.
Yes, well, that was fortuitous that you were able to kind of, create that space for the artists in your community, and then bring them through to being able to have this amazing support, and resource, to be able to embrace and be part of helping shape for their communities and themselves. I'm thinking about how our mission at the YW is to eliminate racism and empower women, and I'm just thinking about how so often we think about the arts as being a place for to relax and joyful and just being a space like that. But we know that through the arts, such important social justice commentary happens. So much of the work that we do at the YW is expressed so beautifully and in ways that words sometimes alone can't do it. that it's through the pictures, the visuals, the poetry, the music, that we really sometimes are able to be so much more impactful and move forward social change in ways that we really need to. And I think about that coupled with Jersey City, a place where there is so much diversity, and we've seen so much change, in that area. I know if you've been down, anyone who's been down there recently, you see these beautiful murals that are now, throughout the city. Also, I mean, it's really, it's such a vibrant, such a vibrant place to be. So, can you talk a little bit about, what your hope is, when we look back at this project, in a few years, what you'll walk around your great city and see, and, what your mayor, is envisioning, and, what you want, the legacy you want this historic moment in time for the arts in your community to be.
Certainly, it's interesting. I'm thinking as you were saying that when we had the opening of our in May of 2021, our mural festival, we had a whole weekend long mural festival. It was the largest of its kind in the Northeast, and also the first time the public had really come out for a large scale public event since the start of the pandemic. To have people come out around the arts and to connect as a community, and to see these incredibly talented muralists creating work all around you, and I'll never forget that the mayor said, we see ourselves, we see arts and culture as being a priority for our city coming out of this pandemic. And whether it's something like this mural festival, or the Arts and Culture Trust Fund, or the incoming Centre Pompidou creating its only North American outpost in Jersey City in 2024, we are addressing arts and culture on all levels through all types of artists. And this is to really serve a vision of having Jersey City be a cultural anchor for our region. And it makes a lot of sense here because we are the most culturally diverse city in the United States. And to have opportunities for our artists to be seen and to share work and to express themselves really just makes this the type of place I want to live and I want to raise my kids in, and that I can be proud to be a resident of. So it's after a couple decades of being on this train, it's really nice to see this vision taking shape, and it being really such a holistic vision. I think too, there's not one solution to having a flourishing arts and culture community. It really is making sure that we are addressing the needs of our local artists who have been here for generations, or whether it's the new organization, the new institution coming in the future, and how we can all work together to really boost the visibility and staying power of our artists.
Well, I know I can't wait to see the impact that it's going to have. Like I said, if anyone hasn't taken a ride into Jersey City lately, the murals are everywhere. There's beautiful new statue that's right on the waterfront there. I mean, there's so much happening. So many great restaurants, live music is back, in the area. And so now knowing that, all these new projects are being curated and, supported, I can only imagine where we're headed, from it really being a tremendous, a tremendous arts hub. So thank you so much to you and to your mayor and to the work that, your leadership you're providing in your community to see this through. What a gift to our entire state, to have, this right here in New Jersey. And not, it's wonderful that we're so close to Manhattan to be able to partake, but we don't even have to go over any of our, cross any state lines. We can embrace it all right here, thanks to the great work that you're all doing. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, hope you'll come over to Jersey City again soon, and we can take in some of the programming and, celebrate spring.
Absolutely, absolutely. And for those of you watching, we hope that we don't have to wait. Go this weekend. We're going to put the link here for all of you in the chat, so you can check out and see what's happening in Jersey City. And also, if you are connected to an artist or an organization, an arts organization that could benefit from the great work that Christine and her team are doing. We also have the link here for the Office of Cultural Affairs so that you can learn more about the trust fund and the fellowships and ways that you can access them and help be part of this amazing time in the city. So with that, we wish everyone a healthy, fun weekend full of the arts. We hope you embrace something. And we also hope that you continue to stay connected to us. As you know, March is Women's History Month. There's so many great opportunities for you to be inspired through our work at the YW. Our virtual Women's Leadership Conference has another session coming this upcoming week. So we hope that you can join us for that. We also have all our great programs for our girls and our summer camps for the kids in our communities. And so something for everyone. Check out the website and have a great, restful, energized, and full of the arts weekend for you all. Take care. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much, Christine.
Thanks for